Welcome to From the Shed End podcast with myself, T.Dot. As always, thank you very much for anyone who has subscribed to the channel, but make sure you are subscribed if you're not already. Hit the subscribe button below and make sure you comment and like as well. Let us know your thoughts, interact with us. And our social accounts are also at the bottom of this screen as well. So if you want to hit us up on Instagram or Twitter, make sure you do that as well. But let's get straight into it. Big game at the weekend, Liverpool-Chelsea, rivalry. The fans were vocal at the ground. Chelsea and Liverpool fans, but obviously it was a very good game. Ended 2-2, but if I'm honest, I think we played the better football. I think during the game, you know, we got to see the best out of Mateo Kovacic. We got to see a brilliant performance by Pulisic as well, who for me, we're going to get onto the miss, but for me, the way that he took his goal was brilliant as well. And N'Golo Kante as always was brilliant. But let's start at the very beginning, because I think Liverpool were very lucky to keep 11 men on the pitch. I thought Mane should definitely have had a red card. It was a red card. I don't think anyone can argue that. Azpilicueta, you know, comes away with that, you know, with a black eye almost. So for me personally, I think it's a red card. Whether it's 6 seconds, 60 seconds, 60 minutes into the game, whether he's used his elbow, his forearm, his fist, if it's intentional or not, it's still a red card. And I think if it's not Anthony Taylor, I think that is a red card. It's given as a red card. You know, Liverpool are down to 10 men. But in all honesty, I thought the game, the intensity of the game, the pace of the game, it suited us very well. And we'll talk about Lukaku later, but in my opinion, I think it suited the fact that we didn't have Lukaku in the team. Obviously, there was a lot of noise, which Tuchel's spoken about ahead of the game, around all the noise that was made over his interview. But I think it suited the players. I think it boosted them, gave them more reason to go out there and prove to Tuchel that they are a team, they are united, and they can go out and perform well. And they did that against Liverpool. You know, up until the mistake, I thought Trevor Chalobah was having a very good game at centre-back as well. Same with Thiago Silva. But it was just unfortunate that he did make that early error, leading up to the goal for Mane, who again should not have been on the pitch, but goes on to score after an error from Trevor Chalobah. But again, you know, we go 2-0 down. We see Mo Salah, who again is brilliant, plays very well. His movement on and off the ball is top notch. It's 10 out of 10. His speed is 10 out of 10. He takes the goal well. If I had any criticism over that goal, it probably would have been that Mendy potentially should have done a bit better, getting beaten at his near post the way he did. Obviously, he pulls off some brilliant saves throughout the game, but it's those small things where you're expecting him to make the save and he doesn't do it. But again, to give him credit, Mo Salah is one of the best at finishing. You know, the way he, again, another criticism, which I don't want to try and do on here too much, but Marcus Alonso should have been closer to Mo Salah. In my opinion, he should have been a lot closer. He wasn't. So, you know, you have to take those on the chin. But when we go 2-0 down, if I'm honest, we did, as a Chelsea fan, I thought the worst. I thought we were going to get annihilated, but the team fought back, and you know, it was a very good performance, as I've said before, from Chelsea. We fought back. We get back into the game with a brilliant goal, in my opinion. The goal that not many people thought was going to come, because the thing with Kovacic, he likes to shoot, but he doesn't normally get it on, you know, hit the money. So I think for him to do that, going backwards from the goal as well, running backwards and being able to volley the ball the way that he did, to get it into the top corner. Look, it was a goal that I don't think many Chelsea fans were expecting from him. And it was a goal that, in my opinion, you know, is arguably one of the best goals of the season so far. But let me know what you think about that in the comments, if you agree, if you think that is one of the best goals of the season so far. In my opinion, it is. Maybe I'm biased, but end of the day, you know, it was our gateway back into the game. I think after that goal goes in, I think Liverpool are rattled. I think they feel like they were on the back foot. Obviously, Konate isn't, you know, Van Dijk's used to having Joel Matip with him, alongside him, and Konate doesn't seem to fit the way that the style of play that Liverpool are trying to play at the moment. I don't think that they play the best football with Konate in the team. Obviously, Henderson had an okay game. James Milner, for me, I've said it before, I think he's not the player that he once was, and I think he's got to make way for someone else. Maybe a Curtis Jones has got to play a bit more regular than James Milner, and I think we got to see that. He came on later in the game, Curtis Jones, but just in terms of Milner, I think he's obviously shown his age now. He's very experienced, which is why Klopp probably put him in the team in the first place. But in my opinion, he's just one of these players that just go around and he'll just kick the shit out of you. He'll bully you on and off the pitch, but he doesn't actually give you much more than that. He doesn't actually create any play or anything really. He's just on the pitch to make up the numbers at the moment. So obviously we get the second goal. Christian Pulisic comes in, performs really well, took his goal very, very well. Before the miss, we've got to mention the miss early on in the game as well, but he should be scoring the goal. He's either got to chip the goalkeeper or he's got to round the goalkeeper, and he doesn't do either. He sort of hesitates, but in my opinion, he took his goal very well. It was a well-worked goal leading up to that as well. So we have to benefit and credit the team, because they definitely came back in. They showed a lot of resilience and a lot of fight in that game to get back to 2-2, and even then to defend very well after that as well, because Liverpool still had their chances second half, just like we did as well. I was very impressed with Kai Havertz, very, very impressed with him. Obviously we've got absentees as well in midfield, in defence. As I mentioned, Trevor Chalobah coming off doesn't help, but in my opinion, it was two goals that we deserved, and it was a point that we deserved as well. Is the title race over? In my opinion, I said this last week and Theo said the same. It is, for me, mathematically it's still possible, but I do look at this now as it's Man City's to lose, and I can't see Man City slipping up as much as they tend not to. So I think in my opinion, the title race is over, and we have to now focus our attention to making sure we get top four, getting some silverware, and having a positive season as much as we can. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is Romelu Lukaku, who obviously before the Liverpool game came out and had an interview, which was very strange. We spoke about it on our previous episode, so if you haven't already checked that out, make sure you do. But obviously he's now come out, he's done his apology. He's apologised to the fans. He's apologised to Thomas Tuchel. He's apologised to his teammates as well. And if I'm honest, and if I'm completely honest, I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I think at the end of the day, yes, he was wrong. And I'll give you my honest opinion. Yes, he was wrong for his intentions and how he went about voicing his views or his opinions or his frustrations. But in my opinion, I'm not annoyed at what he said. I'm really not. I'm not annoyed at what he said. I think if that's how he feels and that's his personal opinion, his beliefs, then of course we have to respect that. I think there's a way of going about it. And I think for me personally, he knows where Thomas Tuchel's office is. He knows the right channels of communications and that chain of communication, how that works. He's not 18 anymore. He's 28. He knows how it works. So I understand that he wanted to try and, please the Inter fans and try and get them back on side. I'm not sure why, because he plays for Chelsea. So he really doesn't really matter what the Inter fans think of him, but I get his reasons. But what I don't like is the fan base. The fan base it's very split at the moment. Some people want him back in the team. Some people don't want to see him back in the team. Some people are going to probably boo him if he starts against Tottenham. Some people probably won't boo him. But in my opinion, he's just got to come into this game now. And if he starts against Tottenham, he's got to come in and not just score goals, but he's got to actually work. He's got to be the number 9 that we expect him to be. He's got to put an effort in. He's got to put a shift in. Obviously, he's come out, he said what he said, but some other players have done that as well. We go back to Luis Suarez, who, tried to force a move to Arsenal at one point as well. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy around John Terry as well. The fact that, John Terry, Anton Ferdinand, and he still came on and played football. So I think there's things that have happened previously, which are, for me, more dramatic, I suppose, that have happened. So it's not the end of the world. I don't necessarily understand the massive let's cancel his contracts. First of all, you can't just cancel someone's contract because Lukaku's still an asset to Chelsea. So, the club aren't going to sell him for 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. The club are going to want to recoup a lot of what they paid for him only 90 days ago. So, in my opinion, he has to stay. He's got 5 years on his contract. He has to stay. And when if the time is right and when it's right, he'll be sold. But up until then, he has to play football. And Lukaku doesn't strike me as someone who wants to play in the under 23. So, he's going to want to perform at the level that he knows he can. In my opinion, it was obviously the wrong outlet for him to use to try and voice his concerns or his opinions. But he did it, and we just have to move on from it now. I think he's apologized. Some people are still not happy with the apology. Look, this is football. These things happen probably in every football club. The difference is that he did his publicly, and some other players do it personal behind closed doors that we don't ever hear about. But these things happen in football. We have to move on from it now. The apology for me, whether it was heartfelt, whether it was sincere, whether it was a PR stunt, I don't really care. To me, it doesn't matter anymore. I support the club. I want to make sure that we get 3 points or we get through to the next round of a tournament. So for me, he's got to do his talking on the pitch now. He's got to be able to back up what he's saying, that he does want to be at Chelsea, that he does want to score goals, that he does want to win stuff here with us, and put that talk into practice now. So as long as he does that, I don't think any Chelsea fan really can have an issue with anything that he said. And let's be honest as well, a lot of players come out and say that they want to go back to a club or they want to retire at a club, and it's never really an issue. So I don't understand the big issue around him coming out and saying that he wants to return to Inter Milan at some point in his career. If that's when he's 34, 35, then there's no issue because he'll have fulfilled his contract at Chelsea. So it's one of those, it's going to divide the fan base. Obviously, some fans are still annoyed. I respect that. Some fans are happy to see him back in the team. I respect that as well. So I think for me, the ultimate thing that we have to remember is that we all support the same club. We all want the right things for the club. We want to win things. So whether that's with Lukaku in the team or out the team, I think we just need to understand that he's still a Chelsea player. I've seen a lot of people on social media at the weekend saying, let's sack him, let's terminate his contract. It doesn't work like that, because if you terminate his contract and he's got a particular clause in there to say that he still gets paid his wages, that's almost 30 million. So it's a bit of a stupid thing to say that we can just terminate his contract, in my opinion. He has been fined, I think, 480 or 450,000 pounds for the interview. So they say talk is cheap, but not for Lukaku. It's very expensive. So hopefully he doesn't do that again. He learns from his mistakes. Obviously, he's done his apologies now. We can try and move on from this, and hopefully, which we're going to talk about right now, he gets some goals against Spurs. If he does start, which I think, in my opinion, obviously we've got Trevor Chalobah, who's out, Andreas Christensen, who is a doubt, but I'd expect not to start that game. We've got the possibility of Timo Werner returning, but I would probably start Romelu Lukaku in this game, given that he was rested for 90 minutes, obviously, at the weekend against Liverpool. I think he's got to perform, and I think this is a perfect game for him to come into. We know what Spurs are about. They haven't won a trophy, I think, since 2008. So they're going to want to win some sort of silverware. We know that Conte is a serial winner. He wants to win things as well. So in my opinion, we have to treat this game like any other game, and we have to put out the best 11 that we've got. Obviously, we've lost Mendy now to the African Cup of Nations. So again, it's time for Kepa, who has played very well under Thomas Tuchel, to step up and to prove himself that he is a quality goalkeeper still. We know that there's quality within him. I think previously there was a lot of confidence issues which have been ironed out, and he looks like the part now. So in my opinion, I think, starting Kepa, we've got no choice. We have to put him in goal. He's got to have a brilliant game. I would start Romelu Lukaku. I'd put him in the team. I think the quicker he's back in the team and back trying to score goals, all this sort of nonsense will go away. But also for the player as well, Lukaku will give him that confidence back. Not that he should have lost it, but he will give him that confidence back to perform at the level that we know he can perform at as well. And let's not forget, it's Tottenham. It's Tottenham. We know how much there's a rivalry between Chelsea and Tottenham. So in my opinion, we need to go into that second leg with a nice, comfortable cushion, maybe be able to rest a few players as well. We've got a congested January fixture list as it is already. So I think, in my opinion, if Ruben Loftus-Cheek is fit, I'd start him. We might even see Malang Sarr feature due to the Trevor Chalobah injury as well, and Christensen doubt. And I wouldn't really change much more than that. I put Lukaku back in the team, as I've said. But if I had to give a prediction, I'd say 2-0 Chelsea. I'd say 2-0 Chelsea. I think there's going to be some changes for Tottenham's squad as well. I think they've got a few COVID injuries as well. So in my opinion, it's going to be a good game. We need to make sure that we get the cushion before we go to the second leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And we need to put in the performance as well. I think that's the key thing. I want to see more of what we did against Liverpool. That pressure, that fast flowing football, that freedom as well. There's a lot more freedom in that team. Whether that's because we didn't have Lukaku in the team and it was the front three of Mason Mount, Pulisic and Kai Havertz. Maybe that is an option to start with those three and maybe bring in Lukaku. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you start Lukaku in this game? Would you rest him? Would you bring him on? Would you boo him if he was at the stadium, or would you not boo him as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But one bit of good news that did come out of this week was the contract extension of Thiago Silva, who has signed a 1-year contract extension till 2023. That means we've got probably the best centre-back in the Premier League so far for another season. A lot of people say to me, is he the best centre-back in the Premier League? I would say yes, based on current form. Yes, we can talk about Van Dijk, we can talk about Ruben Diaz, but for the age that he is and for the level of performances that he's putting out, that's why he's my best centre-back of the Premier League so far this season. But to have him around for another year isn't just beneficial in a playing capacity. I think in terms of what Trevor Chalobah, if Andreas Christensen does stay, what he'll learn from him as well. Even the fact that John Terry's back in the academy sort of setup as well, having those two experienced heads around, not just the development squads, but also the senior squads, can only be a good thing as well. So definitely impressed with Thiago Silva, the extension. Obviously, he loves living in and around London as well. So I'm happy that he signed his deal. Hopefully we can get the Christensen one done. More importantly, I think we need to get Antonio Rudiger's deal done next. I think if we had to lose out of those three in Cesar Azpilicueta, Rudiger and Christensen, and yes, I have changed my tune, but if we had to lose Azpilicueta and Christensen and keep Rudiger and Thiago Silva and then bring in some more fresh faces in the summer, then that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do. So in my opinion, having Thiago Silva at the club for another year is only going to benefit us. Yes, he's getting on. Yes, he's going to be 38 and probably 39 by the time he finishes his contract. But to have that experience around the club can only benefit the players that are coming through as well. So definitely some brilliant news to end what was a crazy week for Chelsea fans. But yeah, brilliant to see Thiago Silva get his extension as well. So now we need to try and get the Rudiger, Azpilicueta and Christensen deals done. But let me know in the comments who out of those four, obviously we've got Thiago Silva done now. So out of those three, who do you think more likely is going to leave the club in the summer? Do you think it's going to be Cesar Azpilicueta, Antonio Rudiger or Andreas Christensen? Let me know in the comments what you think. But as always, this has been From the Shed End. Thank you very much for listening. Let's hope we smash Spurs, and we will be back next week with a review of that game and also our weekend fixture as well. But as I said, this is T.Dot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for listening.